keeping you up to date with Sydney's West.
SWR 99.9 Community Update.
Dr. Shopna Bag is the Director for the Centre for Population Health, Western Sydney Local Health District. Shopna, we're only in spring. It has already been extremely hot, a number of days already, only going to get hotter, particularly here in Sydney's West. We're going to run through some tips to get in and around these heat waves coming up through summer. But, let's start here because probably a lot of people don't know this, but, heat is a major killer out there for people around Western Sydney.
Hi, Busco. Thank you. Yes, unfortunately, we can see that people actually die more from heat waves than bushfires, floods, or storms combined. People who are more at risk of these hot heat-related illnesses are our older people, pregnant breastfeeding women, but also our young, so babies and young children, people who have chronic illness or take certain medications, and those who live alone or are homeless or people exercising outdoors. So we really want to make sure people are aware what to do when there's hot weather, but particularly during heat waves, and what they can do to try and prepare themselves before we get to those days.
The good news is, Shopna, when it does come to heat waves, there are some very simple tips that we can take when planning if there's some hot weather on the horizon.
Absolutely. Look, four key tips that we suggest when planning for heat waves. One, download the Bureau of Meteorology weather app or look up BOM weather app and allow those heat wave warnings to come through. Second is speak to your doctor to look at how heat might impact your health, and also your pharmacist to say, how can I safely store medication, particularly those that needs to be protected from extreme heat. Third tip, know who you can call during a heat wave, especially if you need help. It might be family or a friend, your neighbour, or even your doctor. But in an emergency, just call 000. And fourth tip, finally, just prepare your home as best as you can for heat waves.
Yeah, much like when we get into the winter months, Shopna, during summer or during the really hot weather, there are some really simple ways that we can prepare our home for heat waves.
Absolutely. Look, things like reducing heat through the windows and blinds, using blinds and curtains and awnings, looking at gaps around doors and windows to stop the hot air getting in, cooling your air around your home with any trees or bushes to provide some shade. And the other thing is, we know that it's hard to cool your whole house, especially when you're trying to keep power bills down. So work out which room's coolest in your home and try and keep that one room cool on these hot days. If you've got fans or air conditioning, check that they're working. But we also know, particularly during heat waves, sometimes power can go out for a short period of time. So just make sure you've got an emergency kit with a torch, water, batteries, and a first aid kit, even a battery-powered radio. I guess the other thing to know is that sometimes the home can get a bit too hot. Look at what cool places you could go to and how you'll get there. Places like shops, malls, libraries, leisure centres. A lot of our councils actually work together to try and keep these open. And if you live in Blacktown City Council, for example, cool centres are actually listed on their website. So just make sure you're aware of what you can do to keep cool during a heat wave. And I guess it's also a reminder to think about the people around you or you might know, who your neighbour, for example, who maybe they're living alone and they're probably more vulnerable than yourself. Make sure you've just got a little bit of a handout for them.
Shopna, if you would like any more information on some of these tips and advice that we've discussed today to do with heat waves and planning ahead, where's the best place to go?
Look, two places, particularly locally for Western Sydney. Go down to Turn Down the Heat WSROC, so WSROC. It's got a lot of information, particularly in 10 languages. The other place is the Bureau of Meteorology, so www.bom.gov.au, and type in heat wave.
Another very good website to check out some more heat wave tips would be heatsmart.net.au. And as Shopna mentioned, big thank you to Dr. Shopna Bag, who is the Director for the Centre for Population Health, Western Sydney Local Health District. Particularly if you're in Blacktown, get on the Blacktown City Council website. They have those designated cool centres where you can go if you don't have air conditioning at home or can't get to a cool place. There are designated cool centres. You can get a cool drink, you can sit down in a cool environment and get out of that awful heat that we all know is coming. This has been another community update on SWR 99.9.